Hello and welcome to Eastern Europe Review, a program focusing on Belarus, Ukraine and Russia. This is a joint production of BELSAT TV and TVP World. My name is Dmitry Mitskevich and here are the main topics. Lukashenka is expanding contacts with pariah autocrats, while his opponent Tsikhanouskaya is expanding the circle of European partners.
Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya greets an international foreign leader. We're quite sure that this person will no longer shake hands with Lukashenka. In other words, we're taking territory away from Lukashenka.
Russians are leaving the Far East regions in large numbers despite the Kremlin's new program.
There are too many restrictions and too many obligations I have because of this money, the reporting I have to do. It's become a burden for the honest farmers who use these funds.
The Ukrainian army is biting off kilometers of land in Donbas. Exclusive report straight from the frontline.
Every day they all come storming in, trying to get through, get to our rear or something else. We try to fight them off, stop their attempts.
Belarusian Democratic leader Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya has visited the Republic of Moldova, where she was received by President Maia Sandu. This marks Tsikhanouskaya's first visit to a CIS state. Meanwhile, Alexander Lukashenka has met with the governor of the Russian region of Mordovia. Tsikhanouskaya has also met with the chairman of the European Commission, while Lukashenka hosted the vice president of Iran in Minsk. Why does interest in Belarus continue to remain high worldwide?
Women's solidarity helps Belarusian democratic leader Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya to find a common language with politicians in Europe. Last week, she met with the president of Moldova, Maia Sandu. And then in Germany, she met with Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, one of the most influential women in today's world politics. While the West is moving towards the Belarusian democratic forces, Lukashenka's regime continues to build relations with rogue autocrats of the East.
Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya greets an international foreign leader. We're quite sure that this person will no longer shake hands with Lukashenka. In other words, we're taking territory away from Lukashenka.
Moldova was the first country within the CIS, an organization encompassing former Soviet republics, to host an official visit by the Belarusian democratic leader. Just a few weeks ago, during the European Political Community Summit in Grenada, Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya held discussions with the Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. These three countries share at least one common problem: Russia.
We see how political regimes, which are trying to distance themselves from Moscow, are ready for contacts with leaders of the Belarusian opposition. It's really telling, and there is a regularity to it.
While the dictator meets with the vice president of Iran, the democratic leader arrives in Braunschweig to celebrate Germany Day shoulder to shoulder with Ursula von der Leyen.
Our destiny is European. Having chosen democracy and change in 2020, Belarus chose Europe.
It appears that at a time when problems are multiplying and Europe must focus on the war between Hamas and Israel, Belarus remains on the agenda. According to some politicians, it is garnering even more attention.
No matter how strange it is, interest in Belarus is growing. Despite the fact that there are a lot of crisis regions on the planet now, attention to us is undoubtedly growing. I guess it's because it's become clear to everyone that all the problems on the globe come from totalitarian regimes.
There is only one totalitarian regime in Europe. It's Belarus. According to Sahastik, democratic countries have become more attentive to the Belarusian issue because they are no longer fearful of Russia, which is heavily involved in Ukraine, but still wields significant influence over Belarus. There is also another possible explanation.
A great many citizens of Belarus have left for Europe. It's measured by hundreds of thousands, according to some estimates by millions of people. These people are not the worst representatives of the nation. They have proved themselves in Europe and have won respect. Europe has seen how civilized, cultural, educated and European the Belarusian nation is.
The Western attention to the Belarusian issue is not solely good news. NATO representatives, for example, also consider Belarusian facilities as potential targets for preemptive strikes in the event of a nuclear threat. Consequently, Belarusian democratic forces are facing the challenge of translating Europe's attention into practical actions aimed at reducing Russia's influence over Lukashenka's regime.
An increasing number of Russians are leaving the Far East and relocating to the central part of the country, closer to Moscow. The ambitious project Far Eastern Hector, initiated by Russian President Vladimir Putin in 2016, has failed. Although the authorities guaranteed the distribution of free land, it did not encourage the country's residents to move to the remote regions of Russia. Instead of a well-thought-out plan and development, it appeared to be just another propaganda campaign for the Russian president.
It's been 7 years since Russia launched a program that offers 1 hectare of land in the Far East to every resident of the country. On these land plots, which are located between 7,000 and 8,000 kilometers from Moscow, residents can build a house or a farm. Over this period, only a little more than 120,000 people, instead of the expected 30 million, have taken advantage of such an opportunity. One of them is a local resident and beekeeper, Sergei Surovtsev from Khabarovsk Krai. The state promised to provide assistance in the form of subsidies and soft loans for business development, but in reality they have proven to be practically inaccessible.
There are too many restrictions and too many obligations I have because of this money, the reporting I have to do. It's become a burden for the honest farmers who use these funds.
As a consequence, a significant portion of the land distributed through the state program now lies abandoned. Some plots were acquired by local residents as an easy means of obtaining land for building homes. Approximately 80% of the recipients of the Far Eastern Hectare are residents of the same region, which fundamentally contradicts the program's stated goal of attracting new settlers from central Russia.
Shift workers are needed here. Those who extract very important minerals in difficult conditions, who cut down valuable forest or catch fish. They work for the season, and when they're not needed, they leave, which is normal. We don't require a large permanent population. The Far Eastern Hector itself is a PR project. A good one, that's all.
Even foreign celebrities were invited to draw attention to the Far Eastern Hectare in different years.
Привет, this is Jeff Munty. Join me as I get ready to go develop the Far East. Are you with me? Let's go.
But Russia's Far East continues to experience depopulation. According to official Rosstat data, 33,500 people left the region last year. Over the past 30 years, the population of the region has decreased by 23%. The majority of Khabarovsk students are dreaming of leaving the area after graduation.
People opt for typical destinations like St. Petersburg or Moscow because there are more opportunities for development there. There aren't many high-paying jobs here, and in addition, all the infrastructure is developing only in the West, and there are few significant changes that would attract young people here.
Climate, maybe, among other things, because it's very cold in winter and hot in summer.
It's a vicious circle. People are leaving due to a struggling economy and job shortages. And the economy isn't growing because there aren't enough workers who could be enticed by free land.
Officials failed to think through the Far Eastern Hector project, and the outcome was not surprising. The idea, conceived within bureaucratic structures without proper discussion or the involvement of science, has yielded results that fall short of expectations, if not entirely to zero.
Economists argue that the region must transform its production structure and adopt a new economic model. However, in the midst of an aggressive war in Ukraine and overall economic stagnation, any attempts at such changes seem unlikely in the foreseeable future. Nevertheless, some have managed to benefit. Chinese entrepreneurs are actively expanding their businesses in the region, thanks to the proximity of the border, which is just a few kilometers away.
Ukrainian forces have advanced 5 kilometers towards the town of Svatove in the Luhansk region. During the assault, Ukrainians defeated Russian units in this direction. Ukrainian troops have approached the village of Kovalivka, which is near the road leading to Svatove. Our colleagues have prepared an exclusive report from this part of the front line.
Whether it's our drone or not, you still have to hide.
On the eve of our visit, the area was shelled with artillery. Now, as we're here, another shelling is taking place. Now, a Russian drone is scouting for infantry and potentially Ukrainian army vehicles.
There's a dense wood further on. It's not ours.
An AFU soldier with a call sign Jurist reports that they retook this wooded area from Russian soldiers 2 weeks ago. Along with it, and at the approach, there are broken-down wheeled Max Pro armored personnel carriers. The Ukrainian army used these vehicles during the assault near Svatove.
Another Max Pro.
And this is where the dense wood ends. On the battlefield, there is a strong smell of corpses, parts from a broken armored personnel carrier, and charred bodies of enemy crew members are scattered everywhere. That is zero, or the front positions of the Russian-Ukrainian front. Everything here is gray. There are artillery pits in the field, and in the dens, as the military call the trenches, there is the infantry of the 68th Jaeger Brigade, named after Oleksandr Donbas.
There were trees here yesterday, and we could freely walk through to the edge of the woods.
The absence of trees makes it unsafe to stand upright, let alone move around. Snipers are scouting, and machine gun bursts can be heard from time to time. At the edge of the forest belt, we can see where the surviving Russian soldiers fled after the Ukrainian armed forces had stormed the town. When leaving the trenches, Ukrainian fighters have to run to neighboring positions, 100 meters across the open field, which is subject to easy machine gun fire. And this is what the extreme line of defense looks like, showing the challenging conditions Ukrainian soldiers have to face.
This is the very edge, the very zero.
The soldier Ivan is sitting in a dugout in total darkness. He is resting after his duty shift. It is necessary to observe the enemy at zero at all times.
Ivan, how close are we to the Russian soldiers? Russian? 400 meters.
Russian troops are not abandoning their attempts to regain lost positions and regularly try to storm them.
Every day they all come storming in, trying to get through, get to our rear or something else. We try to fight them off, stop their attempts. It's a firefight, isn't it? Yes. What does it mean? They've spotted the Russians trying to get in somewhere.
Over the past 2 weeks, the 68th Independent Jaeger Brigade has advanced 5 kilometers towards Svatove. Ukrainian army fighters continue advancing in this direction and consolidating new positions.
That's all for today. Eastern Europe Review will be back next Sunday. Please stay with TVP World and stand with Ukraine.